Porch Talks, 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 Porch Talks.
We're on Porch Talks tonight. I'm your host, Prince Peculiar. It's a wonderful night here tonight in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm here with a very, very, very special guest, a friend of mine, a brother, a colleague, an individual who we went to grad school together. And he's a very knowledgeable individual who is also an author. And his name is Mr. O'Nae Chatman, and he has some things that he wants to share with us in relation to Saving Our Sons is the name of his book, but he wants to talk about mentoring our young men today, helping those in the community that need guidance, that may not have a father in the home. And so we want to talk with Mr. O'Nae Chatman about, let's talk about saving our sons. What sparked this idea of saving our sons?
Well, Saving Our Sons was sparked really from my teen years. I've always mentored young boys and also young men. From the time I was growing up in the church, they would always put me up in front of the men. Whenever they had a men's day, whenever they wanted someone to come in and speak to the young boys, they would always pick me. So I began to just align myself, and then I discovered that it was my purpose. That it was my purpose to mentor and to help guide these young men to a better place.
That's awesome. That's powerful. Can you tell us, Mr. O'Nae Chatman, a little bit about where you're from?
From Shannon, Mississippi, a small town there in Mississippi, small rural town. I was raised by my grandmother. I was born to 14-year-old parents that were not able to raise me, so my grandmother took me in. The best thing that ever happened to me because she was a godly woman, a pastor, a preaching woman, a holy woman, a praying woman, just the kind of woman that could just help guide me and mold me into the man I needed to be.
That is so powerful. That is inspirational. Hey, check this out, Mr. O'Nae. Can you tell us a little bit about the contents in your book? What is your book? How are some ways that we can, as male men and male mentor figures, help our mentees and young men to be successful and to be motivated even in life? I know a lot of the struggles in life today is people are not as motivated. They don't have that drive, that ambition.
Exactly.
They don't have that gas, and you know what I'm saying, to
Exactly.
get them going. And so, can you tell us a little bit about your book and some things that may motivate these young men today?
Sure. My book is Saving Our Sons, Mentored African American Males in the 21st Century. It's just a book about mentoring. I started writing this book on the day that George Zimmerman was acquitted for the murder of Trayvon Martin.
Okay.
I was so moved and so sparked by what I saw on my television screen that I literally cried, and I sit there and I begin to write. So the first lines in this book is, as George Zimmerman is being acquitted of the murder of Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
and I just began to go down and I list about 25 names of African American males that have been killed by policemen, all unarmed. So what I was trying to do was trying to grab the reader in the first chapter. I wanted to instantly grab you with these names to make it real to you. Just in case you thought this was like one incident, I'm telling you, no, this is going on all the time.
Wow.
So I instantly want to grab you with those names and just make those people human and just give them a voice from the grave. So that was my intention in the first chapter, and then I go into education and all of these other subjects, how we should get our young men reading at an earlier age, because studies are showing that 70% of our young men are behind in reading by the time they make it to the 8th grade. So we have to get our boys reading earlier and learning earlier.
That's powerful. What are some solutions? What are some things that you can give us for our young men in relation to reading and education? How can we get them? Because I know when I was younger, in the first grade, I had hooked on phonics. So they would give us phonics packets and things like that to help us to sound out the suffixes and know exactly the verbiage of our writing and sentencing. What are some things that we can use, solutions to help us advance education, especially for our African American young men?
Well, as I was writing this book, I was doing research, and I discovered that our kids watch over 70 hours of TV a week.
Wow.
That blew my mind. Because that's just too much television instead of reading and learning. So I dive into the book, giving parents these tips about how to get your kids reading by letting them choose the books that they want to read. because usually the parent will try to pick out a book. The kid's like, no, that's not my type of reading. Let that child pick out the reading that fits them, and then give them a love for reading. And as they gain a love for reading, they will want to read more. So I kind of put that in the book. I talk about the 3 principles: respect for God, respect for others, respect for self. That's the principles I live by. Respect God, respect others, and respect yourself.
That is so powerful. Respect God, respect others, and respect yourself.
Yes, sir.
I love that. Hey, Mr. O'Nae Chatman, can you tell us how the people can reach you today if they want to get in contact with you? If they want to find out how they can get some parental ideas about raising their single, maybe the mother's a single home, and she wants some ideas of how to raise her son or help motivate her son and get her son going. What are some things, how can they reach you?
Of course, I can be reached at www.chatmanpublishing.com. That's chatmanpublishing.com. Follow me on Facebook, O'Nae Chatman, Twitter, O'Nae the Writer, Instagram, O'Nae the Writer. So I can be reached at those places, and I can give you some tips. Just email me. Parents are reaching out to me all the time saying, what can I do for my son? What can I tell my son? So I'm always giving out advice, always giving out tips. Just love to do it, love to mentor, just love following God.
Awesome, powerful. Hey, can we get another look at your book? This book is The Son, Saving Our Sons, Mr. O'Nae Chatman. Hey, it's a mentoring program. If you need to talk about your youth, your males, men who need help or struggling in life and looking for avenues to be successful, we want to talk to Mr. O'Nae Chatman. We want you to get this book. It's also a DVD along with it that talks and discusses about the book and the content that's inside. Hey, what are some things, if you want to give this one person a couple things, if you want to say something to change this one person's life, what would you say to that one person right now?
I would give them the words of Dr. Miles Monroe: the 2 greatest days in your life is the day that you discover why you was born and the day you are born. So discover why you were born, get in your lane, find your lane, do what God has told you to do. Love it. Peace.
Hey, this is O'Nae Chatman, author, scholar. Hey, he's a grad student, grad school graduate with his Masters of Christian Education.
Yeah.
Hey, check it out. We're on Porch Talks tonight. I'm your host, Prince Peculiar. We want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Part-Time Wealth Creators, LLC. We want to give a shout out to Joe Lewis, who is the CEO of Porch Talks and the founder. We also want to give a shout out to all our people who are watching. Continue to tune in. All right, stay up with us. Porch Talks.
Peace.